Yeah, I think after 2016, you had a lot of pollsters really do some self-reflection and investigation, and there was a lot of analysis and reporting about how could the industry learn from what happened. And one of the things that people did was to look at how we ask and calibrate educational attainment. It's such a big driver right now. It's a big driver of Trump support. It was a big driver of the vote in the midterms too. And then looking at what happened in 2018, I think not just in the aggregate and what we expected to happen, but even in some of the individual races. If you look at where the political parties would withdraw and stop spending money, aligned with how those races ended up being decided on the election day. So the polling that people were using to drive their financial decisions and where they were investing and where the advertising would go seemed to actually line up with where the voters were. That's another way of seeing how did polling do. Polling seemed to do a pretty good job both in the aggregate and in some of those specific races.
I think for me, something that was a real big standout number was the way that young voters broke, as well as the way 30-somethings broke. So for the last decade, I have studied what do millennial voters think, and have sort of seen them trending away from the Republican Party. In this midterm, voters who are in their 30s, which is actually kind of the bulk of the millennial generation these days, broke for Democrats by almost a 20-point margin. That's how young voters were voting in the last big blue wave midterm in 2006, when they were 18 to 29-year-olds, when they were first getting engaged in politics. So 30-somethings, they've were Democratic when they were younger, they've grown up, and they're still leaning toward the Democratic Party. And I think that really suggests to Republicans that they need to do something to try to win this millennial group back, because as millennials grow, become a bigger and bigger piece of the electorate, and you lose Generation Z, voters under the age of 30 in this midterm broke for Democrats by a 35-point margin, according to the exit polls. There's a huge generational divide in this country, and Republicans are going to have to try to keep up.